Ouyang Xun, the architect of Chinese calligraphy. A single trace of the brush can outlive the person who placed it on paper, can outlive emperors, wars, vanished palaces, and even the stone into which it was carved. This is what happened to the calligraphy of Ouyang Xun, a master whose lines are still studied more than 13 centuries later. Ouyang Xun is regarded as one of the greatest calligraphers of ancient China. His celebrated work, The Inscription of the Sweet Spring at Jiucheng Palace, became a model of kaishu, or regular script. But why did these restrained and disciplined characters become so influential? To understand that, we must first meet the master himself, and enter the age in which he lived. Ouyang Xun was born in 557 and lived through 3 Chinese dynasties, Chen, Sui, and Tang. States disappeared, rulers changed, and political order was repeatedly destroyed and rebuilt. Yet writing continued to connect generations, preserving China's knowledge, history, and cultural memory. Ouyang Xun was not merely an artist. He received a serious classical education, studied literature and history, served as a government official, and worked at the Imperial Hongwen Academy. His contemporaries admired both his broad learning and his extraordinary memory. For him, calligraphy was not simply a decoration added to words. It was an extension of scholarship, discipline, and character. Like other Chinese calligraphers, Ouyang Xun began by studying the masters of the past. He drew upon the tradition of Wang Zizi and Wang Xianzi, examined the ancient clerical script known as lishu, and studied the early forms of regular script. But he did not limit himself to imitation. Gradually, he created his own system of writing, which later became known as the Ouyang style, or style. The characters of Ouyang Xun are often compared to architecture. Vertical strokes resemble supporting columns. Horizontal strokes function like beams. Diagonal lines create movement and tension. Every element occupies a carefully calculated position, yet the entire structure remains alive. This is not cold geometry. It is a balance of interacting forces. His most famous work was created in the year 632 and was connected with Jiucheng Palace. This imperial complex stood among the mountains in what is now Shanxi province. During the summer, the imperial court traveled there to escape the heat. Wooden pavilions, stone terraces, and forested slopes created a landscape that was both majestic and serene. At that time, China was ruled by Emperor Taizong of the Tang dynasty, one of the best-known emperors in Chinese history. Under his rule, the state grew stronger, expanded its borders, and entered a period of cultural achievement. Taizong was deeply interested in history, literature, and calligraphy, and his court attracted outstanding scholars, advisors, and artists. According to the text of the later inscription, the emperor was once walking near the western part of the palace. He noticed that the ground beneath his feet was unusually damp, and touched the spot with his staff. Water began to rise from the earth. The spring was lined with stone, and its clear, pleasant-tasting water became known as Liquan, the sweet spring. To the people of that time, the appearance of the spring was not merely a natural accident. It could be understood as an auspicious sign, evidence of harmony between heaven, the earth, and the ruler. Nature itself seemed to confirm the virtue of the emperor. For this reason, the event was to be commemorated on a great stone stele. The composition of the inscription was entrusted to Wei Zheng, one of the emperor's most famous advisors. Wei Zheng was known for his willingness to disagree with Taizong and to point out his mistakes openly. He believed that an advisor who could do nothing but praise a ruler was not useful to the state, but dangerous to it. The inscription therefore became more than a celebration of the emperor. Within its ceremonial language, Wei Zheng placed a warning: when standing in a high position, one must remember the possibility of falling. When holding a vessel filled to the brim, one must fear that it may overflow. The greater the power a person receives, the more carefully that person must watch over himself. The task of giving this text its final visual form was entrusted to Ouyang Xun. By then, the calligrapher was about 75 years old. His style was fully mature, and he possessed decades of experience. He now had to create an official imperial inscription that would be transferred from paper to stone. The text consisted of 24 vertical lines, with roughly 50 characters in each line. More than 1,000 characters had to be written with the same degree of concentration. Every character was an independent composition, yet it also had to remain connected to the characters surrounding it. An error would mean more than a ruined sheet of paper. This work was being created for a state monument and intended for history. The first quality we notice in this calligraphy is its clarity. The characters appear strict, slender, and composed. Even a viewer who cannot read Chinese can sense that each form is complete. But under closer examination, the apparent calm begins to reveal a complex system of movement and tension. One stroke may be raised slightly. Another may move unexpectedly to the side. A third may seem to hold the entire character back from falling. The empty space between the strokes is especially important. If the elements are placed too closely together, the character becomes heavy and cramped. If they are separated too widely, it falls apart. Ouyang Xun found a precise balance between density and freedom. When the writing was complete, it was given to stone carvers. Their task was to transfer the movement of a soft brush onto the hard surface of stone. Every curve, every thickening, and every ending of a stroke had to be carved carefully by hand. In this way, the fleeting motion of a human hand was transformed into a monumental inscription. The stele was erected at Jiucheng Palace. It told the story of the spring, praised the reign of Taizong, and reminded the emperor of his responsibility. Ouyang Xun's calligraphy strengthened the meaning of the text. There was no excess in its lines. Power remained controlled, and beauty remained subject to order. Later, paper rubbings were made from the stele. Damp paper was pressed against the stone, and carefully worked into the carved recesses. Ink was then applied to the surface. The stone areas appeared dark, while the carved characters remained light. Early rubbings preserved details that gradually disappeared as the surface of the stele deteriorated. For more than 1,000 years, students of calligraphy have copied this inscription, but copying in the Chinese tradition is not simply the mechanical reproduction of an external form. The student tries to recover the movement of the master, to understand where the brush accelerated, where it slowed down, how the pressure changed, and why a slight shift in one line preserves the balance of the entire character. Ouyang Xun lived to see states disappear and rulers succeed one another. The former splendor of Jiucheng Palace did not survive. Even the stone intended to endure forever slowly deteriorated. Yet the master's handwriting continued to live. Ouyang Xun did not merely write words. He built them out of ink. And these fragile structures proved stronger than palaces. True mastery does not mean the absence of limitations. It means discovering freedom within form.